Dwyer was booked in a Phoenix area jail Wednesday on charges of domestic abuse involving a 27-year-old woman and their 18-month-old child. Dwyer was immediately deactivated by the team. The charges arise from two separate incidents alleged to have occurred in late July. Police said at their home, Dwyer was charged with 1 count of aggravated assault causing a fracture, 1 count of aggravated assault involving a minor, 2 counts of criminal damage, 1 count of preventing the use of a phone in an emergency. Becoming all too familiar. Stephen A., your take.
Skip Bayless, I'm so tired of talking about this. I don't even know what to say anymore. I would love to tell you that I'm numb. I'm not. I would love to sit here and say there's 2 sides to every story and all. I'm done with all that. I was on the air the other day, and one of the things that I pointed out is that over the last 2 years, every single arrest as pertaining to it by that, but I am a black man and that resonates with me. You're going to have to get over it. What I have to say is this. In fairness to so many good young black brothers out there, it's important to acknowledge that the NFL, according to what I was told yesterday by somebody in the Players Association, is 74% black. It's important to point out that if you put out the numbers in the NFL as it pertains to domestic violence compared to what's going on in society, the number is actually more alarming outside the NFL than it is inside the NFL. The number is at less than 5%. What that leads me to feel an obligation to express is that there are a lot of good young brothers out there know how to act, know how to be disciplined, and in no way should be tainted or painted in this light.
Yep.
But what's inescapable is that if we used any of these screens here in this studio and we put up the mugshots of every single individual over the last 2 years, they would all be black men. And as a result of that, what kind of imagery and perception is that putting out in our society? First of all, you've got young black males, okay, that are out here in the world, that these are their role models because it's about imagery and it's about what you see. And unlike the bat in the Major League Baseball or basketball where guys are not wearing helmets and pads and their faces are blocked, you can see these guys. In the NFL, you don't. But you see these guys getting arrested. So you've got that imagery. That's a problem. But then we also have to deal with the mosaic that we call the United States of America. We have to deal with prospective employers. We have to deal with individuals like that. We have to deal with society as a whole. And if this is the imagery that is being thrown out there, am I beyond the pale in saying that that's going to be an excuse for people who want to think negatively about men from my community to think exactly those negative things? And when you see these players, the few of them that they are, apparently oblivious or indifferent to the kind of impact that their actions in moments of uncontrollable rage or whatever it is that you want to call it, putting themselves in this position, what am I going to say? I'm on national television. I have a national platform. I'm speaking to America. And when I bring something like this up, I'm going to use these words. I've been called the house N-word. I've been called the coon. I've been called the sellout. I've been called everything under the sun by the ignorant few who have a problem with me pointing out a problem that exists in our community, not because the numbers are so alarming, but because the imagery is so alarming that it's contributing to a negative perception that is affecting black dudes who do know how to act, who do know how to do the right things, who are disciplined, and more importantly, law-abiding citizens. By and large, most of us are like that. But unlike any other community, we get tainted by the by the foolish few, the irresponsible few. And there seems to be absolutely positively nothing we can do about it, because the few who are acting that way don't appear to care enough to make sure that you do the right things. And so for me, it's not much I can say, man. I can't wait till we can get back to just talking about the games, man, and getting it, because I'm telling you right now, I can honestly say to you, there have been times that I have thought about asking for time off. There have been times when I've contemplated getting another job just so I don't have to deal with this stuff. These guys, this stuff is becoming incredibly, incredibly alarming to me, and I don't know what else to say anymore. I really don't.
Back to your opening point, I'm so with you. When last night I saw the Jonathan Dwyer story, I groaned. I audibly groaned, not because he was black, just because it was another NFL player and another incident of domestic violence. I'm happy this has become such a hot topic that we've all learned so much from it. And I don't know what's going on with this case. It took a while for it to come to the forefront. Is it possible that the alleged victim here followed the coverage and finally said, I've got to come forward? Maybe? I don't know. I'm speculating. Okay. So this is a good thing, that we've all been forced to become painfully aware of what has been going on and what has not been done about it. That's the positive here. The negative is it's just relentless, and it's hard on us after a while, because I'm to the point with you where I don't know what else to say. I think our viewers are starting to hit the wall here after a while.
I think they already have.
Like, what more? Yeah, enough's enough.
Tired of it.
But your point is a much larger and more profound point as it pertains to the black community. So I have to ask you, because I don't obviously know the answer to this. Do you have any why for this development? Do you because to get to any solution in your eyes, you need a why first. You need to what's happening here? Why is this happening? And is it just a black player thing? And you said 74%. I'll give you my answer in a second here, but go ahead with...
It's not just a black thing from a societal perspective, but it clearly is predominantly a black thing when it comes to the NFL, because they seem to be the only ones getting arrested for this. I'm not going to speculate as to why. I have a lot of theories. I know ultimately the men are responsible, but one of the things that I think we've learned over the last few weeks is we can't be as real and as authentic and as open as we want to be on these particular issues, so I am not going there. I'm not going to lie to anybody, but I'm not going there. As it pertains to, you know, these black athletes, in the end, all I'm going to say to you, and my last point is this, Skip, I love everybody, but I'm a black man, and I'm proud I'm a black man, and I have a special level of affection for my people.
You do.
And when you have a few who are tainting the many, when it came to something innocuous like guys missing practice, or guys getting in an argument with a coach, or guys being insubordinate or being tardy, what have I always said on this show and many other shows? That ain't us. That's him. Isolate him. And when you put a community in a position where it's difficult to isolate, now we got a problem, because when I walk out in the streets, or when somebody else walks out in the street and you got black men doing this stuff, well, shoot, if you're a millionaire and you're an athlete and you acting this way, just because you got on a suit and you working in corporate America, who's to say somebody's going to give you a benefit of the doubt? Remember, we're still walking in elevators, suited down with custom-tailored suits, and other folks are grabbing their purses and pocketbooks scared of us. So we still deal with that in this modern-day era. It's unfortunate that these guys are giving credence to those kind of thinking, that kind of thinking.
All right. Allow me to make one point of balance here.
Please.
Richie Incognito, and I've got to racially identify him. He's not a black man.
That's right.
He was investigated for the molestation of a female volunteer worker at the Dolphins team golf tournament. This was a black woman. The police report said that Richie Incognito used a golf club to rub up against her, and I won't go too graphic here, private parts. And he finished off whatever he was doing to her by pouring an entire bottle of water in her face. This case was settled, according to the New York Daily News and CBS Sports, for $30,000 out of court.
When did that happen, by the way?
2012, if my memory serves.
Go ahead.
That's correct.
Okay, I just want to throw it out there because he got away with that one. Okay, I for one am very happy that Richie Incognito did not get picked up yet by a National Football League team. But just on balance, I just want to say that here's a high-profile white player, and let's keep him in the mix here.
But that's exactly my point. Now, that's a different subject from the perspective of coverage, because I was on the air. I don't recall us talking about that when that accusation was levied against Richie Incognito. So now we've got a different problem because you have athletes out there of African-American descent who could easily say, well, how come that wasn't reported? How come that wasn't expounded upon? How come that wasn't talked about ad nauseum? So that's a good point. But in the end, if you know this and you're going to complain about this, then why find yourself in that situation yourself as a black person?
All right, fine. And then one other point of balance.
Go ahead.
I read quotes over the last 2 days from Drew Brees, J.J. Watt, Brett Kiesel, defending the National Football League. Drew Brees' quote was, "I hope that the perception isn't made now that we're a bunch of brutes beating our wives and abusing our children," because he continued to say that there are 4 or 5, he called them isolated cases here, and we're a league of about 2,000 players, to your original point. But it made me slightly uncomfortable because I hope that people don't leap to the conclusion that these 3 white players are defending the white players in the league, because I believe they're defending the league as a whole, black, white,
Totally
whatever
agree.
color. Okay, just want to make sure about that, because they're the only 3 who have spoken out. I would like to hear some black leader players speak out about this, that there are a great number of model citizen black players that we don't talk about on the show. So just for balance, I think we're getting near time when I would like to hear that from name your black leader of black team. There are a bunch of them who are upstanding citizens and good guys.
Yeah. Well, listen, that is balance, and that's why I prefaced my comments by pointing out how, by and large, the many are being tainted by the few.
The few.
But the fact is, we live in a society, we're not doing the younger generation any favors by neglecting to point out that the few do taint the many.
They do.
That the few bad apples do taint the whole tree.
Yeah.
That is the society that we live in.
It's a fact.
And you have an obligation. Look, man, I told you, the only law I've ever broken is when it comes to speeding, because I'm usually rushing to work. Here's the deal. When a police officer has pulled me over, steering here, the hands are on both wheels. Both hands on the steering wheel. The windows go down. The first order of business is to appear non-threatening, to make sure that you make sure that the law enforcement officials understand you are a law-abiding citizen and you will obey the law. And listen, a society is not going to tolerate lawlessness, man. Yeah. You can't. You can't. There must be order.
Stephen A. makes a really good point. Perception is reality in a lot of cases. I can drive well, and I do 10 and 12.
10 and 12.
It's like a gangster.